My name is Patricia Cavanaugh, and I'm the owner of the Third Act, and this is my partner, Ellie Klevins. We are very excited to be at the Now Conference for the second time. It was so much fun last time, and so we're happy to be here. And just to begin with, what I'd like you to do is reach back with your hand and give yourself a big pat on the back. A big pat on the back, or you could even pat your neighbor's back. Because you have really demonstrated courage to face something that most people don't want to talk about. They don't want to even think about. They just want to keep things the way they are. And to think about the big dreaded R word, retirement, is scary for a lot of folks. But for this next about hour, we're going to help you use that courage to look at a life plan for your third act. So many people ask me, like, what is the third act? Less and less now. First, when I started this in 2008, people kind of glazed over when I said the third act. But now, as there are more baby boomers, and there's more information out there about what's happening after work, we need a new word for retirement. So the third act is what I came up with back in 2008. So the first act is when you're a child and you're learning pretty much in the home how to be appropriate in the family, how to do well in school, what the rules are for being in school, all of that stuff you do as a kid. And then the second act is when you're, probably in your early 20s and on through your career. It's all about getting married, having a career, raising a family, developing a long-term relationship. It's all about those kind of exterior social points for success out in the world. Not so much in the family, but out in the world. And the third act is another new developmental stage, and that is somewhere around 55 to 75. People begin to think, it's almost like, it's not really an age thing so much as it's an interior focus. You can find yourself thinking about, well, there's got to be something more, or there's something more for me to do in my life. There's nothing like death to help, the big dreaded D word, to help you focus in on what needs to be done for your own well-being before you die. What is it that's left undone? What did you have to set aside? When you were in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. So it's a really exciting time of possibilities, but it's also a time where you might feel overwhelmed about what's possible. So just a little bit about me. I told you before, I'm the owner of the Third Act. For 30 years, I've been a psychotherapist here in Berkeley, and I'm very interested in transformation. And so back in 2005, I was thinking, I wanted to do something else. I was in my early 60s, and I wanted to do something more with my life, but I wanted to use my skills going forward. And I'm interested in transformation, as I said.
I'm going to turn the Wi-Fi off.
Okay. I'm interested in transformation, as I said, but I wanted to use my skills and talents going forward. Pardon me. So I hired a career coach to help me with that idea, and I came up with the Third Act because it allows me to use my strengths and skills in listening and helping people find their best selves moving forward in life. So that's kind of a little snapshot of how I started doing this business. And now Ellie's going to tell you about herself. Thanks.
Good morning. They've asked us to stand in this place because of the video, so I'm used to moving around, so I may not be able to comply, but I'll do my best. My name is Ellie Klevins, and I have been working with Patricia for the last couple of years. Thank you. I found my way to the Third Act kind of through a different route. I've always worked in corporate human resources in Silicon Valley and enjoyed every aspect of how people come into an organization, who gets hired, who gets promoted, who doesn't do well. And the whole idea of what makes people successful and happy at work has always fascinated me, whatever job that I've had. So when I was thinking about what I really wanted to do with my third act, I wanted to bring those skills forward. I wanted to continue to work with people to help them be successful and happy after they left full-time regular employment. So during the Great Recession, a long time ago now, I found myself working with a lot of people who were displaced by the recession, who either wanted or needed to get back to work, but the jobs that they had were no longer available to them. So we worked to help reinvent new lives with purpose, passion, and with a paycheck. And that's really has been my focus for the last number of years. And I'm so glad to be with you today to share what we have found to be best practices to help people do that. So let me give you an overview of what we're going to cover today. Am I doing this right? I am. Okay. I'm trying. Everything. Okay. Oh, there we go.
Did we go too far?
No. They knew you were coming. Okay. So, a life well lived. So what we're going to talk about today is really making the most of what is often referred to as your bonus years. Because guess what? We're living longer. We're living longer than previous generations, and we have a lot more time in our hands. It really presents an unexpected challenge because we don't often have role models for how to do it, how to behave. I know when my parents retired from their work, they just wanted to hang out around the house. That was happy to them. But 30 years of hanging around the house, I don't know. For us, I think we might need something different. But some of the scripts that we have and the previous experiences that we don't really have models for what a new life with greater longevity could be like. And so we need to create a new paradigm for ourselves and look at happiness and well-being now while you're at work and beyond. And think about, while you're here working, what do you want to leave behind, right? What are you done with? But what do you want to bring forward and move into your life to create a life well lived after you leave UC Berkeley? So let's think about your current job. What do you really enjoy? Think about the last time you were in the flow, where you kind of lost track of time. Maybe you were working on a project where you solved a problem. Maybe you were part of a team that got a good result. Maybe you were training someone and you saw that light bulb go on in their head and you thought, wow, I'm really good at this. Or just think about something that you enjoy about your current job. Kind of get a picture of that. And what I'd like for you to do is turn to a partner at your table and tell them what it is you enjoy most about your work, and give them a little story with an example of a time when you can recall that you really enjoyed your job. So we're going to give you 5 minutes each to do this. So at the middle, when it's time to change partners, we'll let you know that it's time. Okay? How was that? What was that like, talking about something that you really love about your work? Fun! Yeah! Right. So because it was so fun, I'm going to ask you for an example. What's an example of something that you really enjoy about your work?
Meeting new people.
Yeah.
Meeting new people.
Right. Yeah.
Levels, so meeting new people.
Yeah. Meeting new people. So our jobs provide kind of a nice social network. We don't have to go out looking for people to say hello to. It's right there and presented for us. And often when we work with our clients, we find that one of the things that they miss most about working is, what do you suppose? The people. Yeah. So we have to look for ways to engage and stay connected with people who matter to us. Let's hear another example about something. How about this table over here? Something you enjoy about your work.
Yeah, I would love to have somebody record it. You won't be on the film, but
So we had a couple of themes. There were 3 of us, so we rushed a little. But the 2 things that I think all of us shared was that sense of community that we really enjoy in the instances and institutions we're in, that there is a sense of community. And we also enjoy having expertise in solving problems.
Right.
We had one person talk about the longitudinal aspects of, well, I did this 10 years ago, and that's not what we call it anymore, and that's the new solution, but we've already tried it. And I can guide people in thinking about that.
Yeah.
Or having an assignment where you get to bring all these weird things that you've learned through the years to solve the problem.
Yeah.
Your wisdom, your expertise. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. So doing something that you're really good at, and it almost comes automatically to you, and people say, wow, that was really cool, and you go, wow, I did that. So that sense of accomplishment, knowing that you're pretty good at what you do, and that feels good. Let's hear one more. How about this table over here?
Wait. We want to have you record it.
Thank you.
So we can hear it on the video.
Sure. Well, I enjoy like working in spreadsheets and databases, and I got to one department and it was all these invoices and such were like in individual Microsoft Word documents. I was like, oh my God.
No database?
Right, so I created this database from
Yeah.
scratch. I was just starting to learn FileMaker.
Right.
And I was really happy with it, and just it got really efficient. It had to do with getting some stipends paid to people and getting invoices to school districts and whatnot. And
Yeah.
I walk into a meeting one time with all these teachers, and I get introduced, and they all like give me an ovation. I was like
Get
shocked.
out, really?
Because I was getting them paid on time. I was like, and they were all thrilled with me.
That was a good one. That was a very
felt
good
good.
one. Great outcome, great result. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing. It feels good to do something you're good at, and it has a great result, like helping people get paid on time. And that standing ovation, I mean, how many times does that happen? Pretty awesome. Oh, okay. Well, next time. Yeah, all right. Thank you. Thanks very much for sharing that. So, yeah, we're living longer. There's more of us in the baby boom generation, and we are living longer. So there's lots of people in our age category that are here and out there and looking for what's next. So we have a lot of company, and it is growing. And you'll see that when you really start to look out and you see all these people doing many different creative things with their lives after they leave full-time employment, you'll find role models that will help inspire you. It's kind of scary to think that maybe some of us could even be retired longer than we've worked. That's a little bit of a scary and daunting thought. But it's not impossible, right? Yes, right? So think about it. So that's why you're here today. You're here today to create a plan for a life well lived. It's really beyond just the finances. It's really looking at this longevity revolution that we are now a part of, we're pioneers in. And what is it that we want to create for ourselves, and what legacy do we want to leave for our kids? What do we want to show them what's possible as we age? So we need more than just the obvious things like stay fit, and of course we have to take care of our finances and all of that. We actually need a whole new paradigm shift, a new model and a new way of thinking that will really serve us now and into the future.
So in order to shift paradigms, we kind of need to know what paradigm we're in. And we're kind of straddling 2 worlds here. The old paradigm of aging is lots of things that all of us are fearful about, which is degeneration, decline, dependency, depression, and then, of course, death. But all of these things are emotional states and fears that keep us from really looking at the possibility of a whole new regrowth as we age. And so we need to think about new words and new ways of visioning. And as Ellie was saying, it's a challenge because the old way is so entrenched. And whenever you're a pioneer in something, you're thinking, you may have experienced this in your own job, it's hard to get people to change what they know. And so all of us in this room are on the frontier of a kind of positive aging, a cultural shift in the United States and actually around the world. It's the first time here on the planet that so many people have been this age and older, so many baby boomers. It's the first time on the planet that so many people have been so healthy and wealthy and vital So there's a lot of possibility. So for the third act, the folks that I think about being drawn to the third act are those that want to do more. I mean, it's wonderful to play golf and travel. That's wonderful, and that can be part of your third act. But for me, it's more about what more can I do? How do I want to use this life of mine? How do I want to move forward with this? And so in order to move forward, we really need to address these words with new words. And so are we using this guy or are we using this? We're using this?
Yeah, the arrow one.
Oh, you know, before we move on, I mean, this used to be my idea of retirement. Over here on the right, you know, with the rocking chair, the lazy boy, the knitting, the TV tables. That's what my folks did, and I really dreaded that. That's not the way I want to have my retirement, nor is it the way it is, because I've created it differently. So again, addressing these D words and having a plan to move forward. So I'm going to try this. So many of us have had the old image of kind of coming to a soft landing, a safe and soft landing for retirement, where you kind of follow the directions, you make sure your seatbelt is low and tight across your tummy, you put up your tray table, you put your seat back up in position, upright position, and then you get ready for a soft landing. Well, I'm here to challenge you to think about this as a time for actually taking off, not even landing, but just kind of off into the sunset with all kinds of possibilities and wonderful things that you can be doing, including some of the things that you just talked about that you experienced in your job. That, you know, meeting folks, that's really exciting and challenging for you, and working with data, moving forward with that, having wisdom that you can bring forward into the world that you were talking about at this table. And we also need some new words. So instead of degradation and all these D words, we're going to move to the R words. So it's revitalization, and decline is renewal, and dependency is recreation, and depression is rejuvenation. And you can come up with your own words, but when you start thinking about decline, you know, stop yourself in mid-track and say, no, this is about renewal. I'm gonna be growing myself. I'm gonna be expanding. I'm gonna be shifting. I'm gonna be changing. So let's see, what's next? So I'm asking you to engage your third act superheroes, which are the new words that we've talked about: revitalization, renewal, even regrowth, reinvention, and new images of taking off. Those are your third act superhero words and images that you want to incorporate in your thinking now. And it's going to be a challenge. It's kind of like when you exercise. I don't know if you've had this experience, but I've had it one too many times where I'm trying a new, you know, I've upped my weights and my muscle really hurts and I feel awkward and uncomfortable because it's a new weight, it's a new exercise. But then you move through it and it's like you've done it all your life. So that's what we're talking about here.
There's a gender imbalance in this picture.
Oh no.
They're all
Thank you so much for telling us that.
Wonder Woman in there?
No. Thank you. We will change that next time. we need, who do we want in there? Catwoman? Wait a minute, who? You know, Wonder Woman for sure. Wonder Woman with the, what about Catwoman? No, she's the bad one.
Batgirl.
Catgirl. Batgirl. What other ones? Any other?
There are several ones.
I know. I'm trying to think of the new ones. All right. Thank you. Yeah, send me, email me. My card is back there, you know, email me.
What's the Chinese woman wore? You can have diversity.
I'd love that, yeah.
Make sure they're not all too skinny.
Our vision of it and send it to you.
Would you? Oh, that would be fantastic. I would love that. I would love that. I love that. UC Berkeley superheroes. Yeah, love it. All right, so now, what is this?
That's our video. Yeah, so we have a video for you But before we turn our attention to that, I'd like to point out a handout that you have on your desk in front of you. 5 keys to happiness. All the answers right here. How to be happy? Right here. How many of you have heard of the field of positive psychology? Yeah? Yeah. So Dr. Martin Seligman, a number of years ago, decided that he was going to flip his therapy practice from working with people on helping them try to get better and overcome mental illness, and just focus instead on what is it that makes us happy. Let's just focus on happiness. So he coined the term, founded the term positive psychology, and through many, many years of studies and research and collaboration has come up with 5 pillars of happiness and a life well lived that we are sharing with you today, right here on this little page. And when you watch the video coming up of a life of a woman who is recreating herself, what I'd like for you to do is see how she's embracing these 5 areas. So what is it that's creating in her life positive emotion? How is she engaged? Are there positive relationships she's created? Is there meaning in the work that she's doing? And is there a sense of accomplishment? All right, so pay attention to that as you watch this.
Because there'll be questions after. You'll be tested.
Hello, I'm Jane Pauley. What happens when an empty nester and an old dog learn some new tricks? Meet Sue Halpern and her dog Pransky with 2 lives reimagined.
My dog needed a job. Dogs are social, I think. You know, they're pack animals, and her pack had gotten progressively smaller till it was a pack of 1.
And both of them needed something new to do. There comes a point in lives when you're shaken out of your routine.
And then suddenly there's this thing in front of you, and it's just called time. And it's like a gift.
I see.
And you get to choose what you do with it. I was interested in seeing if I could do something that I had never done before, something that would take me a little farther outside of myself.
Sue had an idea in the back of her head, and she and Pransky could do it together.
I knew that what she really would thrive on was interacting with other people. A nursing home or a hospital or a hospice, those all seem like really good places for such a dog. This way, right?
They set out to become a certified dog therapy team.
Good girl.
To qualify, Pransky would have to pass a test of 15 different tasks. But Pransky is a country girl.
Sit down. She is a dog who lives in the woods. You know, she wasn't used to walking on a leash.
It didn't look promising.
Go get it! No pulling on a leash, no straining, no whining, no barking. Ready?
They trained for months.
Lie down. I really did think we were going to fail.
It's like a dance team.
It's the relationship that they're looking for. And so you get certified as a team. Good girl. If you fail any part of the exam, you're done. Come on, where are you going?
Then test day arrived. You made the decision to cheat.
Yes, okay. I admit it, we cheated. I went out with her on the bike and we rode for about 10 miles essentially before we left for the test. I'm gonna win. By the time it was time to take the test, she was so tired and she was like so sick of this whole thing that she was the best trained dog there that day. Yes, very fetching.
She passed with flying colors. Then came the real test.
It's gonna work. Let's go.
Sue was nervous.
Walking into that nursing home, I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing there. Okay, I go do this. Here's what we're learning.
Were you as good at it at first as Pransky was?
No, she was much better than I was. She didn't think, whoa, I'm in a nursing home. Wonder what I do now.
Would you describe that as a little out of your comfort zone?
I would describe it as a lot out of my comfort zone. Pran, come say hi to Selena. Say good morning, Selena.
But Pransky was a natural.
She just has intuited that that's what she's supposed to be doing. She lets them do whatever it is they're going to do. Oh, good girl. People just lighten up, brighten up. Typically, they'll be very, very happy to have her come in the room. Nice! Yeah.
They visit for just 2 hours a week.
Oh, thank you, Pransky.
It's not a major time commitment for me.
leaving Sue time for dual careers as a writer and a scholar in residence at Middlebury College. What is the value to a person of 3-5 minutes of dog time a week?
They're getting this kind of warm feeling, this feeling of connectedness.
She likes me.
This feeling of joy, which is unexpected. And my dog becomes a kind of jumping off point to remember things that are really happening.
I got a dog at home.
While at the other end of the leash,
there are studies that show that your life expectancy, it gets longer if you volunteer.
Experts say as much as 4 years.
This is going to sound really crazy, but people who volunteer end up feeling richer, as if they had more money in their pocket.
And for Sue,
I was learning a lot from people who are living at the end of their lives, and the things that I was learning were very essential to who we are as people. I hope people just say, hey, you know what, I can do that. That's not that hard. And the thing is, it's not expensive either. Really good idea.
With Pransky, Sue found a new story to tell. A dog walks into a nursing home.
So that was really great.
And a new perspective on life.
I think there's no way that you can be with people who are at the end of their life and not think about, well, what's going to happen to me, and maybe I should really pay attention to what I'm doing right now and take advantage of my health and take advantage of all the things that I have going for me right now, and how do I want to live this life that I have.
Now here's the reality check. Sue had the time to make the commitment, and of course, she had some excellent material to work with right from the start.
Pretty cool story, huh? And I love that Jane Pauley created her third act going around interviewing people about what they're doing in retirement. So she's always been a smart girl. So tell me, what did you see in terms of this story? What happened that created positive emotions? What was going on?
More time with your own dogs and bringing joy to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So she felt good. She helped other people feel good. Volunteering, for sure. Yeah. How about engagement? Using her skills and strengths to serve others. So, you know, certainly all that training that she did with the dog and getting up to speed on that. Relationships? Well, certainly with the dog. Yeah.
Anybody else? Have some ideas about?
Well, she mentioned very briefly that she faced like a little bit of her fear of aging by listening.
Yeah.
I understood correctly what she was saying. She just
Yeah.
passed over it.
Right, right. I know, I think it's an important point because often we just don't want to look at that. We don't want to deal with it. We don't want to see ourselves in that situation. But bringing joy and light into that environment, and it's also making you feel more comfortable as well. Yeah.
Looks like she got a really good coach. Her dog doesn't second guess herself. She sort of second guess herself.
Yeah.
And I think she see how relaxed her dog ended up, doing her job.
Right, yeah. So she didn't have to do it alone, right? And she could take a cue from her four-legged friend. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting she's a writer, but she also wrote a book about this experience. So she kind of took a lot of her background and
Right.
she blended all together and
Yeah.
took advantage of her skill.
Yeah.
And just kind of like knitted everything together.
Right.
Which was
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes when we set about a new direction, we don't know where it's going to take us. And the hardest thing is to get started, right? There's a lot of reluctance. But when you take that first step, from that position, what is now possible that wasn't possible before? So she created this whole journey, including writing a book. So that's a pretty great story. Yeah.
Well, I think it was interesting. I think she started out saying the dog needed to back.
Right.
Right. So again, her dog was leading her. She allowed herself to go down that road and get so much out of it.
Right. Yeah. You guys are perceptive. You're picking up on so many nuances of the story, but it is rather rich. So we present this just as a kind of a model. What is it about this story and about looking at the kind of the 5 keys to happiness that can inspire your life. So in the first exercise we did, what do you really enjoy about your work when you were thinking about it? That is, first of all, it's engagement. You're really engaged in something that you're good at. So if you just want to take a moment and jot down what came up for you when you were thinking about that example, what do you enjoy most about work? And which of these 5 areas of happiness did that create for you? So the 5 keys to happiness are presented here. And what we want to do is take a look at the area of engagement, because we think it's so important here at work and beyond. And sometimes when you've been in an organization for a while or in a job for a while, it becomes routine or same old. So we have to kind of look for ways to inspire ourselves to be engaged, to really give it our all, our 150%. And it's something that we have to create. And looking at the joy that we get, and the kind of the idea of you can do something that you're really good at every day. So there's all parts of our jobs that we don't like, but there's probably something that you are really good at. So to remind yourself to spend some time every day doing something that you rock at. It might be the database, it might be connecting, taking time. If you know you love people and you're stuck in your cube or in front of your computer and you need to take a stroll around to rejuvenate yourself, make time to do that, because it will create more enjoyment and you can get into the flow, and it helps you face some of those tougher assignments. One thing we know about engagement is that we need to continue to challenge ourselves by learning new things, trying new things, even if they're scary or we don't think we're going to be good at it. But we have to keep stepping into the unknown. But we also know what's good about a challenge is we don't want it to be too daunting, right? So just the right amount of challenge. So to challenge yourself in a way, I don't think Patricia's trying to become a bodybuilder or Miss USA with a weight training, but she's putting appropriate challenges in place in front of her, because it's so important to have that sense of accomplishment and achievement. So these are the things that we really would like to help you focus on, both at work and beyond, and to be thinking about how you can bring forward some of this joy that you have at work into your 3rd act.
Do you want to do anything with positive emotions?
Would you like to?
Yeah. So one of the things we also wanted to talk about today was giving you a sense of positive emotions and what that might be like for you. And so if you could just take a moment and just shut your eyes or gaze down and take a breath, a kind of clearing and cleansing breath, and think about something that you're really grateful for. You know, if you were doing a gratitude journal before you went to sleep last night or this afternoon, if you were writing down what you were grateful for, what might that be? What might that be? Okay, open your eyes. Can we get some sharing from people about what came up, and just that brief exercise of thinking about what you're grateful for? That's a really important positive emotion. Did you have something that came up?
That I had good health and I could do basically what I want to do if I want to.
Can you say that a little louder? Because I think it's important what you're saying. We have a microphone if you're comfortable with that. I stopped using it because people looked like they were a little frightened.
I am grateful for being having good health, so I could enjoy what I do and working and doing what I wanted to do, and that I could still play a role, or I could still contribute to community or to my family or to whoever that needs my help.
Thank you. That's a great one. Gratitude for good health. Anyone else? What's something else that came up for folks? Yes, in the back of the room there.
I was, the first thing that came to mind was the good people in my life. And I think that happened because we were saying goodbye to a colleague yesterday at Free House. And several of us at that table knew each other long enough that we had funny stories to share. And nothing tickles me more than to retell these old stories. They made us laugh then, they make us laugh now. And I'm really grateful for that. That is just, it's so wonderful to have folks like that in your life, whether you're related to them or you work with them or they live next door. But to build those kinds of memories it's just wonderful.
Is there another one? One more? Can we have time for one more? If there is something that you found came up for you in that just brief exercise that you were grateful for.
Well, I just came out of that Wisdom Cafe session. I came out and I just, the minute I think about the word cafe, it makes me relax. I'm so grateful for someone put together a tool so that people can share ideas, like open and tell each other what's been going on, what works, and we can do it together. That sharing, it's sometimes missing in my life, and I appreciate it got reintroduced in my work life.
Great, great.
Can I ask a question? Does everybody know what the Wisdom Cafe is? No? Can you explain it?
Well, the Wisdom Cafe is basically it's a website. You can get on it and start putting entries and sharing what you know works in your life and learning about other people's success stories. I cannot be the representative, but the session is still going on this afternoon. Okay. So, do check it out. I so loved it.
And I think there's a reference. I saw it in your conference booklet. And I just want to underscore the importance of this. So the positive emotion, first of all, you think it, you feel it, you say it, and then you allow us to experience that as well. Sharing the love, sharing the joy, and that uplifts everyone. And it sounds like the Wisdom Cafe is a great way to do that online. So thank you so much. Did you have one?
Besides the things that were already noted, one other thought that I had was, at this point in time, in terms of my family and people around me, everyone seems to be fine. Like, there's no crises. And that's not to say a crisis won't happen, but I do observe other people who have a crisis and how it sort of takes away from them. Yeah. And I said, right now, at this moment, everything is good. Yeah. So, it just gives you ability to just move forward. Like, there's no distraction or anything like that. Right. And I think that's a blessing.
It is a blessing.
In that position.
That's wonderful. Yeah. That's wonderful. Thank you. One more? Yes.
Sort of building off of that, besides in the personal life, having time for yourself, because you don't have to put out fires or be a huge support, but also just that I'm in a department where I get this time for myself, that I can come here. Yeah. Not everybody is allowed or able or
it's
whatever.
Wonderful. It's
so
wonderful.
To have this time for myself within my work day and then also in my personal life.
Yeah, it's a wonderful gift. Yeah. So what we're talking about now is these pillars, these keys to happiness. So we've gone a little more in depth with active engagement. That's one on the list. And the other one is positive emotion. So when you're thinking about building your plan, these are pillars. These little phrases and words are things that you can do to start building. So you want to make sure that in your plan, there's plenty in there for you to be grateful for, and that you're leaving time for that. And that you design a structure that helps you to be actively engaged by finding skills that you want to bring forward with you into your third act. Some of us have skills that we don't want to utilize anymore, strengths and skills. You can leave those behind, but the ones that you want to take forward, make sure that you build those in every day, that you're doing data work, or that you're meeting people, or that you're using your wisdom. So it's critical, actually, to make a life plan for your third act. Study after study after study shows that if you have a plan for retirement, you will be happier and healthy. I had an experience once of an HR person calling me from a very large construction company, and she had found my business on the website. And she She had a group of senior vice presidents who'd been working for the company for 35 years. And she had just come out of a really difficult time with her father in her personal life because her father had all of his financial ducks in a row. He was set. Everything was smooth. Everything was pretty. But just a few months after retirement, he went down. He went into deep decline and depression. And she did not want that happening to her folks. And so she contacted us, and we developed a whole third act plan to help her vice presidents kind of deal with the transition. So not only did they have a financial plan, but they had a life plan so that they could be happy and healthy and they could contribute to their family and to the society around them and the world with this new way of thinking about retirement. All right, let's see, next. So take a little time right now and go back to this page and pick one area that you feel kind of calls out to you, that you think, well, I'd like to do some more in this. And write down some ways that you can bring more of either positive emotion or active engagement or relationships. I think you in the back were talking about how wonderful it was to be with your colleagues as one was leaving, and being sure to be able to build those relationships, or what can bring meaning into your life, meaning that you're doing something that's for your community, your church, your art organization, something that's beyond you, and then something that you can feel proud of doing, So take a few minutes and just jot some of that down that you can refer to later.
So kind of as you're wrapping up your thoughts, I wanted to share with you an example that happened to me that I didn't even realize that I was creating happiness for myself. It kind of hit me in the face. So when I stopped working full-time and went into consulting, I had a lot more time on my hands, and I've always loved to sing, and I'm really not a singer at all, just in the car and in the shower. So I thought, well, I'll just join a community chorus. And it was summertime, and they were doing Motown. And I'm like, I know those songs. I'm going to go sing with these people. And I went and met a whole bunch of wonderful people and learned I was a soprano. I didn't even know what that was. And just sang all these great songs. And we had our recital, our concert, where we had a picnic, and my family and my book club came. It was crazy. So we were singing all the 10 or 12 songs that we were supposed to sing. And I sang them, and it was over. And I thought, well, we're not done yet. I mean, we have more to do. And no, Ellie, we have sung all the songs. And I realized that I was in that miraculous flow moment where I lost all track of time. I didn't even know where we were, but I was having so much fun. And then I realized, wow, what about this made this so cool? You know, I'm using all of these 5 things. I love being with people. I missed having a chance to kind of be in a group and be kind of on as a presenter. I was learning a new skill. I had my friends and family. They were appreciating me. And I thought, wow, this is really something that was important to do in ways that I couldn't even imagine when I walked in. But because I walked into that room of people who were singers, I really was a fish out of water for several times. I had to force myself to go. So just to share that with you, to allow you to maybe think about things that you can start now while you're still working. So when you're not working and you have a lot more time on your hands, you have a plan, you have some ideas. Maybe you've checked out some volunteer opportunities. You've checked out some things already that you know you want to do, because that will help you kind of get started and not get stuck. Does anyone have any thoughts or examples that they would like to share about something that you're thinking about now, or thinking about doing in your future after you leave full-time employment? Yeah.
I've realized that I've been so busy working and raising my child that I kind of lost my relationship with people. Like I didn't keep up with people I went to school with, or people who worked with prior employments and that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I feel bad about that, you know. So I think that's one of the things that I really want to reconnect.
Yeah.
It takes time and energy and desire to do that. I mean,
Right.
I know they're out there.
Yeah.
You know, I have to, you know, I would be more available, you know.
Right.
And I think that would be very healthy
I
to
do
do.
too. Yeah, it's a good goal to set, is to reconnect, and they'll be happy to hear from you.
There's another person here.
Yeah. Someone else?
I've always been interested in the environment, and I am actually going to be trying to get more involved with a community organization, kind of a worldwide community organization. But I always wanted to participate, but I would think, well, I won't be able to focus the time and energy I want to on this.
Yeah.
So now I'm actually preparing myself, getting some more skills, so when I do get involved, you know, I'll be able to kind of participate more and give it the time that I want to give it. So
that's
I'm looking
awesome.
forward to it.
That's great. Having something to look forward to and taking the time now to build your skills so you're ready to step in. That's a great example. Thank you so much for sharing.
I think the other thing about that example that is important is that that you're taking time now while you're employed to begin to build your skills. And the other thing that can happen when you begin to plan for your retirement, for your third act, is you'll find yourself more re-engaged with the work that you're doing now. And one of the reasons for that is that you're not avoiding retirement. You're not scared about retirement. It's not overwhelming. And so, which takes up a lot of internal psychic space when you're kind of repressing or pushing aside or ignoring, whatever you want to call it. So it can free up energy for your work that you're doing now, so you feel really good and accomplished about what it is that you're engaged in presently before you retire. So it's a great way to segue between full-time employment and whatever your next stage is, whether it's volunteer work or whether it's an entrepreneurial venture or it's part-time employment.
Right,
Yeah.
thank you. That's an excellent point. Having something to go to and look forward to does help you feel better about what you're doing at the moment. So we just want to give you a way to connect with us. We have our business cards in the back of the room. We also have a few coaching sessions available this afternoon if you're interested in some one-on-one time with Patricia and myself. We will meet you in the coach's corner. We have the sign-up sheet and also in the back of the room. We'd love to have a chance to work with you one-on-one. On our website, which is on our business cards, there are tons of resources that we have, great ideas, a newsletter, a blog, that we would love to have you check out. Just a couple of the ideas that some of our clients have stepped into. We have a program, it's called Encorepreneurs. More people over 50 are starting new businesses than any time in history. So a lot of people are interested in either consulting or starting their own business. So there's lots of resources we have for that, as well as for volunteering. A lot of people like to think about reinventing themselves and becoming what we lovingly refer to as slashers. So I'm a writer slasher, career coach slasher, and singer slasher, right? So you love that. So you don't have to be one thing anymore. You can be 3 or 4 things and kind of piece together and create that life well lived. So we just would like to point out those resources to you.
And I think the other thing about that is to look for new role models. We did a workshop last month in Washington, D.C., and one of the people there had gone out and found people that had retired and interviewed them and asked them, well, you know, what should I do? What should I not do? So reach out to folks in your community, maybe people in this room, and get advice. Don't go down this path, go down this path. So something to think about, And then just to recap what we talked about this morning, you all are pioneers, and it's time to adapt a new paradigm for aging. And so join in the movement of this big shift that's happening for the betterment of us all. Recruit your superheroes, including the superhero female figures that you're going to be sending me, that you're going to be drawing and inventing, the UC Berkeley Now superheroes, that are both words and images that you can use to stop old thoughts in their tracks, you know, ba-boom, with those mighty bands of gold that Wonder Woman has. Surround yourself with positive role models. Create and find a like-minded community. Those are kind of the similar thing, like folks that are here in this room you might connect up with at the table if you haven't already. Remember the 5 keys to happiness. Really simple, deceptively simple, but take this page home with you and use it as a template to work on. And focus on those as a way of structuring your third act, and then plan and create a life well lived. Don't just go out today and throw this piece of paper away. You know, put it on your refrigerator, put it on a mirror, put it on somewhere where you can see it, and really involve your spouse, your significant other in this process as well. That's a whole other workshop. But yeah, that's a whole other thing. Let's see, what else do we have? I think, so Ellie and I are talking today about all of you, instead of that idea of coming to a landing and just kind of going off into the sunset, that you're taking off into the wild blue yonder. And we wanted to leave you with the last few phrases from a really famous Mary Oliver poem that some of you may know. Tell me, what is your plan for your one wild and precious life? And really take this into your heart, like, what is my plan? This is the only life you have. You have limited time left. What is it you want to really do now with it? So Ellie and I want to thank you so much for coming this morning. It's been a pleasure to be with you, and we're here for questions for a little bit afterward. And there are thanks for that, there are feedback forms on the table somewhere for you to fill out, please, before you go. We'd love to come back again, so we always appreciate positive. And don't forget to email us with those superhero female versions. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ellie. Thank you. Thank you.